So we've got our bird skinned, we've got our bird washed and dried, and now we're ready to mount our bird. We have an artificial body. We want to make sure that the artificial body fits. So what we do is we go ahead and slide this artificial body with the wire in the neck. We slide it in, make sure it'll fit through the neck. And for now, what we do is we just stick that wire out the beak and then pull the neck down over the artificial body. And all we're doing is trying to make sure that all this will fit together and that the hide will stretch over the body the way it's supposed to, and it does look like it all fits really nice. So now we're going to do a flying mount on this bird. So before we can put the body in and sew up the bird, what we need to do is we need to wire the wings with wires that are going to support the wings. So for this quail, we're using a 16 gauge wire. And what I'll need to do is carefully, without shooting wire across the room, I need to carefully cut the wires sharp on the ends so that they've got a nice point on them. And then once I've done that, we'll take these wires, and the wires are going to go inside and come out the wing on the underneath side. So what I do is I go ahead and move the wire into the wings cavity or wing socket, and before we do that, we probably should make sure that the corn cob that was used for drying is not compacted. There's not a whole bunch of that inside the wing. So I'm going to move that out and take this corn cob material out of there. We'll just move that off to the side. We don't want that in there. So, and then what we want to do is we want this wire needs to attach to these bones. So, and it should go, if you look at the wing bones, the humerus, the radius, and the ulna, and this wire is going to go across right over the top of those, and then it's going to go through the hide and come out on the other side. And so it'll look like this when we're done, but we're going to attach it to those bones with some string. So I go ahead and take the wire, and I put it across these bones, and I poke it through right where, at the wrist joint, I poke that wire through. And then I'll go ahead and invert this and see where it's coming out on the other side. Alright, because I want it to come through on the bottom part of that. So I want it to come through right here. And so that's where the wire is going to come out. And now I have to attach the wire carefully to these bones. And so we go ahead and invert it. And I'll move the wire down to here. And then I take some string. And this is the same string that we use to make the body and the neck. And what you should see is the radius, or the humerus, radius, and ulna should make a slight V or triangle with the wire. And if you've done that, then you know you have it positioned correctly. You want to keep the wire straight until we anchor it in the body. So we don't pull too hard on it. We use the same barber pole candy cane method of wrapping our string as we did before. We wrap it up, and then we wrap it back. And after we've wrapped it up and back, then what we want to do is we want to replace the muscle that we took off of the wing. And to do that, we're going to use just a little bit of cotton. And this muscle is mostly up by the top of the humerus. When you have wings and if you eat chicken wings, most of the muscle is on the humerus. So I replace that muscle and then just wrap it so it'll stay on there. Just wrap it snug but not tight with a little bit of string. And then all I do is cut my string, and I just leave this. I don't attach it to anything. I just leave it like this. Now, I didn't replace any of the muscle down around the radius and the ulna, so I can take, on this small bird like this, I can take just a little bit of cotton and wrap it around down there to replace that muscle. and then slide all of this back through. Pull that back through, and that wing muscle has been replaced, and the wing should look natural at this point. And then we have to do the same thing on the other side. So on the other side, we'll go ahead and pull the wing out. Get rid of any of the corn cob. You can see this whole thing again. Take the wire that I've sharpened on the end, run it over the top of the humerus, radius, and ulna, and have it enter the skin right there. So it makes a little triangle. And then run that through and just double check. Before we run that all the way through, double check and see where it comes out on the outside on the bird, because we want it to come out on the underneath side of the wing. And it's coming out right there on the underneath side of the wing, so that's fine. That's where we want it. Pull this back through and create a little triangle with our wire and our wing bones. So you create that little triangle like that, and again, we don't want to bend the wing bone or the wire, so we use a little bit of string, and holding that in the little triangle, we go ahead and wrap it with some string so that the wire and the bones become one. So that wherever we move the wire, the bones will also stay attached to that wire. So we come like this, wrap it both ways, wrap it up, keep the shoulder part of the humerus secure, and then add just a little bit of muscle, cotton, to replace the muscle that was taken away. Then I wrap that secure to the bone, and I've replaced the muscle, cut the string off. I don't tie it, I just cut it and leave it, and slide this back through like this, and then make sure that now the wing is set. Our wing feathers look a little bit messed up, and we'll have to just preen those or put those back together. The little barbs and hooks will do that for us.